Sorry, I just heard this 5 minutes ago. My wife sent it to me. An Israeli fellow. Um, he didn't look religious at all. Didn't look a fellow maybe is in his 40s, maybe his 50s. So he said that he was taking a tour. Israelis do this, right? Especially after the army. So they go to the east. They go to the east. They go to Nepal. They go to the mountains. There's mountains over there in Nepal. They go to Thailand, to all these places, Japan. Anyway, so he went with two women. I didn't understand who these women were. They were all Israelis. I guess they were just mountain climbing together. And they had two guides that were Nepal residents, and they were two guides that were guiding them. And they were sitting in one room. This fellow and the two women were sitting in one room, and they were eating. And their guides were outside. He said the guides with them, they got along okay. You know, they were the guides, they were paying them. But he said it must have been that the guides, they got drunk or something. Maybe they drank. In any case, he doesn't know what happened. But they came into the room with big machetes. And they were screaming and yelling at them, pounding the machetes on the table, and yelling and screaming and lifting it up. And he didn't know what to do. He was unarmed. He didn't have any way of protecting himself. You know, and the two women also, for sure, the same thing. So he said he didn't know what to do. You know, should he try rushing at them? I mean, if he did, then for sure someone was going to get hurt. You know, at least. Right? So he said he didn't know what to do. So he, as an Israeli, like I said, he didn't look like he was a religious person at all, but he had a little book of Psalms in his pocket that he carried, I guess, for good luck. So he said he didn't know what to do. He took out the book instinctively. He took out the book of Psalms and he opened it up and held it to them. They were screaming and yelling, and he screamed out, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. He said he doesn't know why he screamed it out. I mean, maybe he screamed it out because he thought that he was going to die. It's supposed to be, that's the last thing a Jew is supposed to say before he dies. Shema Yisrael. So he screamed this out, Shema Yisrael. As soon as he said he didn't know why he did it. He had absolutely no plan. There was no design. He never heard of anybody doing it before that it worked. He just instinctively did it. Held the book out in front of them. He said as soon as he said that, they threw their machetes down to the ground. They fell on their knees and they asked him for forgiveness. Please stop, please, forgive us. That's what he said. And the person that was interviewing him said, oh, come on, I don't believe the story. He said, I don't believe the story either, but it happened. He said, I don't understand what happened. I don't know why I did that. I have absolutely no idea, but I'm telling you that that's what happened, and it happened. I don't know if afterwards he decided to put on tefillin or anything. The interviewer did not pursue the aftermath of what happened. But nevertheless, that was the story. And I heard a very similar story from a fellow that he had a brother, Israelis. And his brother went to Nepal and he went on some sort of an expedition in the mountains. They're going into the mountains. The Himalayas are there, right? I think Mount Everest is there, isn't it? Anyway, so he went with there and he had a whole entourage of natives that were going with him. I guess there were some of them people were actually also mountain climbers, and there were the guides, you know. Anyway, so before he left Israel, so his brother gave him a small pair of tefillin, and he said maybe you'll put them on once in a while, which was definitely not his custom or whatever. But in order to honor his brother, he said, okay. And he had put on tefillin, I guess when he was young, maybe at a bar mitzvah. So he did. So this fellow says that he was walking and he sort of led the group. He was in front of everybody and all of them were behind him. They were behind him. And he made this turn. They were like on a mountain range. He would turn and he saw this beautiful sunrise, majestic. And it inspired him. And he said to himself, all of a sudden, he got this inspiration. And he said, well, I will put on the tefillin and I will say Shema Yisrael. I put on the tefillin. So he put on the tefillin. It's a godly thing, right? It's not, it was filthy, but it was inspired by, some majestic sight that was, out of this world. So if he'll do an out of this world thing, get in the mood, So he put on the tefillin, put on his head, and he said Shema Yisrael. And he turned around, and the whole group that was following him, that he was with, they disappeared. They weren't there. They weren't there. So he couldn't figure out where they went to. He turned this corner, and they turned the corner also with him. They were behind him, but it was just so majestic, he couldn't hold himself back. So he yelled out to them, hello, hello, are you here? And they popped up from behind rocks. And he said, what's wrong? And they said, what are those boxes? The boxes on your arm. This is tefillin. So he took them off, and he realized that there's a sentence that says that the nations will see that God's name is on you, and they'll be afraid of you. So those are the tefillin of the head. The non-Jews will see the tefillin and they'll be afraid. What's connection? One thing is a little black box. Non-Jews are going to be afraid. What are they going to be afraid of? I said, but it's true. It really is somehow or other a revelation of the will of the creator of the universe, and it's just too powerful. It's just too powerful. When you see that your whole life depends on the creator, it's like, all of a sudden the king comes into the room or something. And he said they all hid behind. He said as soon as he saw that, he realized there must be something to this tefillin, and he became an observant Jew. In any case, have a good day with Mashiach now, and hope to see you all tomorrow, Friday. We'll finish the Devar Malchut, and we'll start another short speech of the Rebbe.